What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. For this camera comparison we have the GoPro 11 and of course the DJI Osmo Action 3. So of course we are going to be splitting this video into three sections. The first section has to do the internal microphones, so we are going to figure out which camera captures sound better. The second section has to do with the video stabilization, so we'll see how the cameras perform in different situations, and of course the last section has to do with the video quality. And with that being said, let's begin by checking out a couple of sample recordings so we can figure out which camera captures sound better. Alright, so our first microphone test. I'm in the exact same spot as I was earlier, so it is a bit windy here, so you're probably gonna hear some wind in those recordings. If I turn around, you're gonna see exactly what I was filming earlier. Alright, so we are using the Action 3 and of course the GoPro 11, and I'm currently doing 4K at 30 frames per second on the Action 3 and 4K at 30 frames per second on the GoPro 11, and I also have the fields of view set to wide for both action cameras. So this is how these two action cameras would pick out sound if you are in a fairly quiet place but a bit of a windy place, because we do have some wind here today. Next, let's find a more noisy location and we'll see how they capture sound there. Alright, and we are moving on to our second audio test between the DJI Action 3 and of course the GoPro 11. This time around I have a bit more noise around me, so there is some traffic around me, we have some more wind around me, so you should hear all that aside from my voice. But we are just trying to figure out which camera captures sound better in more challenging conditions, of course. So once again, I am doing 4K at 30 frames per second with the Action 3 and of course with the GoPro 11, and I have the field of view set to wide. So yeah, this is how both action cameras would capture sound under these conditions. Alright, so it seems that the Action 3 handles the wind noise better than the GoPro, and overall noise is around you better than the GoPro. And even though the GoPro does sound a bit deeper and maybe in some situations the GoPro would sound better than the Action 3, for this particular day, because it was super windy, I feel that the sound quality from the Action 3 is better than the sound quality that we get from the GoPro 11. So for all the other sample recordings that you're about to see, we are gonna use the audio from the Action 3. Alright, next we're gonna move on and check out some sample recordings so we can figure out which camera has better video stabilization. So let's check those out and I will be right back. Okay, and we're gonna start with a quick walking and running test. I'm currently doing 4K at 60 frames per second. I have super view and ultra wide fields of view. So we'll start walking nice and slow. It's also quite windy now, so you're probably gonna hear that as well. So walking, and we're gonna start running. We'll turn right. And we'll go this way. And walking once again. And another super quick recording, super view and ultra wide 4K at 60 frames per second. So we're just gonna go down, see how this works. We have the sun to my right. It's also a bit windy, slightly windy. And this road is pretty bad, as you can see. Oh my goodness. Whoa. I don't think the bicycle likes this road that much. For our next test, we are doing 4K at 30 frames per second. On the Action 3 I have the horizon balancing, and on the GoPro 11 I have linear plus horizon. So the horizon should stay straight no matter what I do. So we're gonna start by running. We'll do left, right, so I can see which camera does better. So let's go this way. We're gonna turn right. We'll go this way. And we'll turn left once again. and we'll stop somewhere around here. Whew. Alright, so for our next recording we are doing 4K at 30 frames per second, ultra wide and super view, and I found a more unusual road. We'll see how the footage actually looks on one of these roads, because it gets darker around there. So let's see how this looks. Whoa. So it gets sunnier around here. So yeah, 4K at 30 frames per second. Okay, so after checking out those recordings, it looks to me like the GoPro 11 does better for video stabilization than the Action 3. I mean, the Action 3 doesn't do bad by any means, but when compared to the GoPro 11, yes, the GoPro 11 still does better, mostly in those situations whenever you're doing more crazy movements, I'm gonna say. So for video stabilization, yes, the GoPro 11 is still unbeatable. Probably the best camera for stabilization out there. Okay, so next we're gonna move on and check out some more daytime recordings just so we can see how the video quality from both cameras is. So let's check those out. And of course we have our mandatory beachy recordings. So here I have both cameras set to recording 4K at 30 frames per second and the field of view set to wide. So I'm gonna stop here, we're gonna pan left. So the wide field of view on the Action 3 does seem wider than the wide field of view that we have on the GoPro 11. So yeah, 4K at 30 frames per second with both Action cameras. Okay, for this recording we are doing 4K at 60 frames per second. On the GoPro 11 I have the field of view set to hyper view, where on the Action 3 I have it set to ultra wide. So this is the maximum wideness for both cameras basically. So walk this way. Here we have a combination of sunshine and shade, just so you can see how both cameras do under these conditions. We'll stop here and we'll kind of go this way a bit and maybe pan up for a bit. And pan left slowly. And I guess we'll walk backwards. So yeah, 4K at 60, ultra wide and hyper view on the GoPro 11. And I also wanted to show you a quick recording in a more urban setting, I'm gonna say. So for this recording I have the field of view set to narrow on the Action 3. I have it set to wide on the GoPro 11, and the GoPro 11 I'm also recording in 5.3K at 30 frames per second, where with the Action 3 I'm recording in 4K at 30 frames per second. So we're gonna spin around slowly. And we'll walk this way for a bit, just so you can see how the footage looks in between buildings, cars and so on. So yeah, 5.3K at 30 frames per second and 4K at 30 frames per second on the second camera. Okay, so video quality. So first of all, sharpness. It almost looks to me like the Action 3 has the better sharpness in those videos. Next, colors. Well, the colors that you've been seeing in the recordings done by the Action 3 are actually the exact same colors that I was seeing with my own eyes. So I feel that the Action 3 will get more closer to reality colors when compared to the GoPro 11. Now for dynamic range, it seems that the GoPro 11 does better. If you look in those shadier areas, the GoPro 11 does do a bit better. So I'm not sure which one I would choose for video quality. What do you guys think? Do you prefer the Action 3 or the GoPro 11? Definitely leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. Okay, so next I also want to show you a couple of recordings that I've done in low light between these two Action cameras. So let's check those out and I will be right back. Alright, and we are moving on to a quick low light recording between the DJI Osmo Action 3 and of course the GoPro 11. For this recording I'm doing 4K at 30 frames per second, and I have the field of view set to wide on both cameras. Of course we do have some street lights around here and a scooter that's going the wrong way. So I'm gonna pan left here. It is a bit darker this way, and I can definitely see way more on the screen of the DJI Action camera. So we're just gonna walk this way towards the light basically. So once again, from what I'm seeing on the screens here, the footage does look better from the Osmo Action 3. So yeah, this is how recording in low light in 4K at 30 frames per second would look like between these two Action cameras. And if you're curious to see how recording looks again in low light but with some more street lights, I have just the recording for you. So once again, I'm doing 4K at 30 frames per second, and I have the fields of view on both Action cameras set to wide. Now for low light recordings, neither camera does that exceptional, so I wouldn't actually use any of them, but out of the two, the Action 3 does do much better than the GoPro 11. With the GoPro 11 you can barely see anything in those recordings. So yes, the Action 3 will do better in low light situations when compared to the GoPro 11. So there you have it, the DJI Osmo Action 3 and the GoPro 11. If you'd be to choose one, which one would you choose and why? Definitely leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. Alright guys, hopefully this video was useful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.